Well, I think in a sense, everybody's been trying to write the second Aranjuez since Rodrigo wrote it, including Rodrigo himself. And that piece would just, particularly because of the slow movement, is such a standout. Um, of the guitar concertos written for me, probably the first important one was when Luciano Berio provided an orchestral accompaniment to the sequenza, which is his big solo guitar piece. And he has a series of other pieces that also turn sequenzas for other instruments into works for guitar and a small orchestra. And he did that for the sequenza number 11, which he wrote for me, which is a solo guitar piece. And then out of that, he made the Chemin number 5, which we premiered in Bonn. It's 30 years ago next year that we premiered that. So that was one of the early ones that was written for me. I also commissioned Robert Beezer to write a monumental guitar concerto, which is one of the biggest guitar concertos in terms of length and scope, and its aspiration is really phenomenal. It's a piece that sort of pushes the guitar to its outer limits, technically and musically and every other way. And like the Rodrigo, it has a really incredibly powerful slow movement with a very special kind of theme, and it's called tombeau, or a funeral, kind of a funeral piece. And probably the Rodrigo concerto also has as its middle movement kind of a tombeau. This could have been for the Rodrigo couple itself, Joaquin Rodrigo and his wife Victoria, who had lost a child. They had a stillborn child. But also, of course, when Rodrigo wrote it, the Spanish Civil War had just finally concluded after 3 horrible, brutal years. And I've always thought that maybe that was another thing that might have inspired Rodrigo to write that slow movement. A more recent guitar concerto that was written for me is by Giovanni Piacentini, a young Mexican to Italian composer. And again, the tombeau in the middle of the work is a signature feature of it. I think there are also other forms that work well for the guitar outside of the sonata form or modified sonata form that we see in some of the classical guitar concertos. I think we've seen in the Rodrigo Fantasia para un Gentilhombre, which is based on dances of Gaspar Sanz from the Baroque era, that the suite form, which works very well for the guitar as a solo instrument, also can work extremely well in the concerto context. So I think that the big problem with guitar concerto is of course the balance problem, and it remains a problem because even when you look at a score and it doesn't look like there's anything against the guitar, and then you actually try to do it without amplification, and you find that it's really not worth the trouble. It's better to, in most cases, better to have at least some sound reinforcement, and that kind of helps you combat this difference in quantity, sheer quantity of sound. So I think it's the future is wide open as far as what younger composers may decide to do with the guitar concerto. I think John Corigliano had a very successful sort of, it's not even so much a guitar concerto, but more like Noches en los Jardines de España of Falla. It's more his work called Troubadours, written for Sharon Isbin, is I think a very successful work for guitar and orchestra. And I've also recorded that work with the Boston Modern Orchestra Project, Gil Rose conducting. So there are a variety of responses to this challenge, and I guess the heroic guitar somehow winning out at the end of the concerto, or winning out in some way, and might be sort of a paradigm for the future of the guitar concerto, because sometimes in the world as we know it now, we do kind of feel just about as swamped as the guitar can feel up against the symphony orchestra. And so that, I think that dialectic, that challenge could be used thematically by composers in the future. So I'll look forward to, premiering more works myself and seeing what my colleagues are able to inspire from composers.